and welcome to another episode of Getting Real in the Field. And this is the show where we talk about all the things that you hate to do, which is following up, making phone calls, talking to people, texting, writing, and even sending out postcards. I'm your host, 𝗙𝗶𝗲𝗹𝗱𝗋, and this is 𝐘𝐒.
Whoa! That was impressive, man.
You're welcome. I'm here for you, brother.
Oh, I didn't expect that one. Oh, man. Well, it's great to be here tonight. What do we want to talk about tonight?
Well, a topic that, is not something that we, necessarily want to promote because there's always a downside to it. However, there is opportunity in other people's misery. And let's talk about probate and foreclosures.
Okay. Well, sure. I mean, as you all know, like probates and foreclosures are potential areas where you might be able to find some business. And I know that in working with a lot of investors, they often go after those type of properties, right? And I think that this is an opportunity for us as real estate agents to kind of go seize these type of opportunities as well, to kind of help families who are in need. I mean, you're not preying on people who are weak and or in their time of need, but what you're trying to do, I think, in my mind, is that you're trying to help families out, right? And this happens, when somebody passes away and they've got properties and you have to deal with like property taxes or and dealing with probate. And then when we talk about foreclosures, like, people are falling behind on mortgage payments, and you want to kind of see if you can help them out ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, real estate agents should be, working this angle because, it's definitely something that, people get, they get involved, they see it, but they don't necessarily know how to do it or get involved with it. And it's just one of those things where it's tough to see somebody be in the situation, but yet, I mean, I hate to say it, but real estate agents like to find opportunity in places that, well, you know what you could do, this is why, like, you don't do networking events at funerals, even though you could, pitch and be like, hey, I see that there's a death in the family, like, obviously, because you're at the funeral, and then you don't want to hand out business cards, but however, there's an opportunity there as much as, I mean, I always say as a real estate agent, I have no pride,
I mean, I would say that, as long as you do it ethically, right? And I would not feel comfortable in preying on people, but if, keep your ears open, right? Like, if somebody like is, especially from out of state, let's just say, like, in a probate situation where, the property is in Wyoming, but the kids now have moved on to different states and are out of town, it's potentially a burden to kind of maintain that house anymore. So, if you are, if you learn about that, somebody has passed away, and you could help them, kind of get the cash for them, and as long as you price it appropriately and not taking advantage of it, I think that's totally fair, a fair game, so to speak. But you are actually there to help them, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I agree that it's just all about finesse and professionalism and all these things.
Yeah.
It's just there's always just opportunities in places that you just don't necessarily think are like the normal, sphere of influence type stuff. But if you keep your ears open and look and hear for opportunities, it's just a nice way to seize the day, as they say.
Yeah. Well, now let's maybe talk a little bit about pre-foreclosure. I mean, what are your thoughts? How would you go find pre-foreclosure properties?
So there's a couple places you can look. There's the county records. Depending on what state you're in, you can get it electronically, or you can go down to the courthouse and research it that way. The downside is that in some places they charge you per sheet of whatever it is that you're trying, that you take away. If you want something printed off, they charge you
Yeah,
per sheet. So it can get a little bit expensive, but it's probably cheaper than, trying to buy a list. And especially if in a state where you're trying to buy a list, it might not be accurate too. So there's
yeah.
that.
I mean, and same goes for probate as well too. I think that if you go to the courthouse and get the public record of that information, you will be able to kind of see either probate properties or for pre-foreclosures, basically you get a notice of defaults list or list pendants as well that's filed within the courthouse too. Right. And that the public record is readily available, and you can go visit the courthouse and access records that way. Or do you know any listing services that might be helpful for that?
There's definitely data driven companies out there. PropStream, there's a few others.
Yeah.
I
Batch
use,
leads is another one that I
yep,
know of too.
yep. And you just basically can search like an MLS. But then you can also filter those lists by, whether it's equity or probate or pre-foreclosure or whatever it is. You can filter by those, and it works a lot better in states that have public data.
Yeah.
Because then you can get some pretty decent lists, or even just states that have large populations. Whereas where I'm at in Cheyenne, we have, you know, just short of 600,000 people in the state. So like it's hard to get a very large comprehensive list that way. But
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, so then let's talk a little bit, and maybe we should group this together, right? And whether it be a probate or foreclosures, right? Um, I think that, you know, let's talk about tips of like helping these homeowners, or homeowners in distress, really, right? Because it can be an emotionally taxing thing. Any thoughts, any recommendations in terms of like how to approach them?
so it's I would say that the biggest tip, or is don't just say, go up to them and be like, I found your name on a list, because then they're not going to be very receptive to
Yeah.
that information. Usually the best way to do it is probably start off with a postcard and try to warm it up. Send them a text. Hey, would you be interested in selling? It kind of like, don't necessarily call them out on their, you know, faux pas of not making their payment, or they're 3 months behind, because a lot of times they don't want to, you don't want to address the issue directly, you know, and then try to warm up the lead, and then eventually be like, hey, because at the end of the day, like if you've done several touches, or at least tried to reach out, at some point you're gonna be like, hey, I saw that your name, I just wanted to confirm whether this is correct or not, that your name was on a list of pre-foreclosure.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
And they'll either say yes or no, or I don't know what you're talking about. And then you can just, kind of open it up that way, have a clarifying conversation. And then if they're receptive to a conversation, then it's all about problem solving, you
Well,
know?
and I will tell you, like, the key to like probate or foreclosures is all about empathy, right? And they are in distress in this situation. They lost a loved one potentially, or for a probate, or in the case of they're about to lose their homes because they're short in finances, right? That's where they're falling behind. And if you approach them with empathy and being sensitive, like you hit it right on there. If you can kind of do that and not sound like all the others out there who are just knocking their door and calling them like crazy and said, hey, I heard that somebody, like, are you interested in selling your house? It's not going to work. So find an angle that shows, you know, how to approach them in a way that is empathetic and just kind of understanding where they're at. I mean, I heard from a client, I'm sorry, another real estate agent, and was talking to a client in a probate situation where their son passed away. They had this property, and oh my gosh, she just didn't want to talk about it. I mean, she wasn't ready. And she says, look, I'm not ready for a couple months. But because the agent talked to her in such kind and understanding way, it's like she said, talk to me in several months. Unlike all the other people, you're the only one I want to talk to. She knows she wants to do it. She wants to sell it, but she just wasn't ready at that point in time.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's really tough, especially if it's somebody that, and these are down times, like anytime you're in
Sure.
this situation, foreclosure, probate,
Yeah.
divorce, whatever it
Yep.
is. I mean, these are tough situations, but yet there are some realities that have to be addressed with it.
Yeah.
And so, being
Yeah.
there, being compassionate, being, someone they can just call and talk to about how to problem solve,
Yeah.
rather than just being a creepy sales guy, and be like, I know that you had a death in the family. It's
Right.
Halloween. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man,
but give me a commission. No. But I mean, but at the end of the day, we have to figure out ways to not, I mean, yes, we want to be compassionate, but yes, we also don't want to just waste our time either. So you
yeah,
got to have a strategy around it, in order to get a result. And ultimately, like if we go into it with compassion and the ability to problem solve, then we'll have a pretty good result, whether that's it, touch base with me later on,
yeah,
or hey, are you open to meeting and we can have a conversation that way.
yeah. And I
Um,
will tell you, like, I like that approach about problem solving, especially like this situation, with these you know, foreclosure. I know we're kind of combining those two topics into one, but like the foreclosures, like giving them solutions, whether it be like, you know, loan modifications, doing a short sale, those are things that, if you can help guide them, I think you will find that people will trust you more if you give them options and kind of be a problem solver, right? Rather than just, there's a lot of people out there, especially like, the short sellers, investors who will want to just kind of say, I'll sell your property or buy it for me 20% less than what's on market. I mean, that's also, while that might be good, but I think that could be pushing the limit on, like, doing what's right for them, especially as a real estate agent. We're tied to some ethics that we have to kind of make sure we don't take advantage of them.
right. And a lot of times you're going to need some sort of special counsel with this.
Yeah.
Finding yourself a good attorney that specializes in, pre-foreclosures or bankruptcy, or, any of these kinds of arenas. Having somebody like that is, you know, not in it for themselves, because you got to be careful with some of these attorneys because they'll send you a bill.
Yeah. That's true.
Because I mean, honestly, like I have a buddy of mine that I have to like be careful with, like what questions I'm asking. I'm coming at this from the perspective of like this is a conversation
Yeah.
versus legal advice, and so I have to be very careful. I'm like, hey man, I'm just calling because I want to know what I should be
I want
doing.
to catch up with
I'm
you.
not as a friend. I don't want you to send me a bill, like, and so like one time he sent me a freaking bill, and I was like, dude, well, it kind of went a little bit further than, and I'm like, dude, you gave me 10 minutes of your time.
Oh
Like,
my gosh, that's hilarious.
don't freaking send me a bit. Like, warn me before you're gonna be like, hey man, you're
Yeah.
on the clock now.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, that's funny.
seriously. Because like I run into these situations all the time, and I'm like, I'm not asking for legal counsel right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just asking you, like, as a buddy of mine who's just so happens to be an attorney. we're having a conversation, because like I have these conversations all the time, and I'm not sending my people a bill, because technically if it's real estate related, I could send them a bill too.
Yeah. Oh, that's
It's
hilarious.
consulting. So anyways, you got to be careful. But
Okay.
you know, it's always good to find somebody that can be in your corner, get some, you know, having that ability to
Yeah.
bounce ideas off of people. So
And like as you know, you're sharing a lot of great advice. You know, helping these potential clients, also not only having an attorney on your corner, but also being in their corner of these clients as well too.
yep.
So
All right.
this is
Well, that
great.
kind of wraps up this episode. So if people want to know more about how to get lists, how to follow up on those lists, how to upload those lists to their CRM, how can they get a hold of you, Keck?
Sure. You know, feel free to go to my website, fieldnotes.ai, and you know, book a time with me and reach out. I'd love to kind of chat with you, share with you some tips and tricks in terms of like, you know, how find you know, pre-foreclosures or distressed or divorce, like what we've talked about tonight. You know, I work with a lot of real estate agents and investors to kind of get those type of like leads and identify them. And this might be a good opportunity if it's slow and you can't get listings right now, to consider that as another source too. And you can reach out to me also directly, 425-740-0260. You, JP?
Yeah, so if you want to know more about what we're doing over here at Real, if you want to know more about how to increase your listings, actually, we're actually doing a seminar next month
Oh, that's right.
for
I saw that.
increasing your. It's called Shift Happens. So if you're in the area and you want to know more, you can go to www.eventsbytitan/agent and you can register for the event. If we do get some interest from a virtual standpoint, we might add a virtual option. But if you're local in the state of Wyoming, it is also available for CE credit. And so that's pretty exciting. And so all the details are on the website. And if you're just curious, if you're in a situation where, you know, you might be looking for more options at your current brokerage and you want a model that is flexible, that is tech focused, that you can make more money other ways other than just slinging houses, feel free to reach out to me at 307-772-1184. And or you can shoot me a DM. Just search for JP Fluellen. I'm on all the socials. And look forward to hearing from you. And that will wrap up another episode of Getting Real in the Field. Peace.